if anyone is going to prove that the court is corrupt, which you already know, the slave master, the only time that someone can take your child away from you without, and you're a good man. I mean, they said I'm a extreme danger to my baby, but um, I'm a school teacher, so they have corruption going on. So I'm gonna show how the guardian. I showed the court how the guardian that they gave guardianship to, she, the person she gave guardianship, she's an abuser. She's according to her psychological evaluation, the person that she got guardianship over is the person she's been abusing her whole life. And the only reason that the person is getting psychological evaluation, getting psychological help, is because of the abuse of her mother, who was her guardian, Angela Saturday. She's an abuser. And she has a rap sheet on with Child Protective Services, 2 pages long. And guess what? The court ignores the fact that they erased the whole first page. They won't give me the first page of all her abuse. But let's go. So these are the proceedings. We listen to the recording.
My mother and my daughter, they are on their way up. My mother, she's using a walker, and they're parking the car. So, okay. So do you want me to wait until they get here? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry about the delay. Also,
Your Honor, I want to explain my presence.
okay.
I'm Jerry Green. I am not the counsel of record, but I am the Saturday's counsel on 4 other cases that are going on between the parties.
So that's the one
I have some perspective on the situation, but I am not her counsel
for this proceeding. Okay.
So he was treated as a witness. I'm just trying to figure out when will he be able to speak? Was he be able to speak as he was counsel?
No, he says he's not representing.
Okay.
So he would not be.
So y'all notice how they let the lawyer in there? He's not representing, but he's gonna be cutting us off the whole time, giving her the wink and the nod. But this is the person that did the low life stuff. That's her talking. Well, we gonna see. This is only part 1.
So we're ready to begin.
Shalom, Ben. Shalom.
So this is the matter of Camille E. Jones, case number 2018-003081. The matter before the court is submissions of comments and complaints that have been filed by Nathaniah Israel.
She disrespectful too. I done been in her court 4 times.
States Ms. Saturday is committing fraud and perjury. She's violating statutes of the ORC in regards to the document. I will present evidence in regards to this. You can proceed.
All right. I do have documentation here that I want to give to
So let me show you the documentation.
All right. The first thing I want to talk about is the motion to dismiss guardian order. All right. Also, a motion to disallow guardian and juvenile court proceedings. I'm going to read it. Angela Saturday has not followed the rules of the probate court and has unlawfully filed Title 4D suits, which is child support, on behalf of the.
Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. This is what I'm reading in court right now. So let me continue.
Or Exhibit A. You'll be able to see Exhibit A. It's a couple days back. Right here it says, now comes Angela Saturday of Camille Jones, invited through the council to file motion.
Let me show you Exhibit A. Let me see if I can go down there to Exhibit A. Right here. This is her filing a motion for contempt in child support court. Now, being a guardian, she's not even my baby mama, but she's the guardian of my baby mama. Okay? And she's not supposed to do a lawsuit. And when somebody has contempt of court and they're trying to get money from you, that's a lawsuit. She's supposed to ask permission of the court. She never did that. But guess what? They're going to give her, they ain't going to do nothing about that. There's no penalty for whatever she does. Let's continue.
To hold in contempt for non-payment of child support. Movement requests the court to compel fathers to comply with child support. So right here, this is basically a suit. By definition, you see the bottom. You see right under the paragraph. By definition, the suit is a general term of comprehensive signification. And applies to any proceeding on one person or another person against another in a court of justice which the plaintiff pursues in such court, the remedy which the law affords for him. This is right here, she's filing suits.
So I just proved right down here, as you can see in the middle part, what the definition of a suit is. So I proved that clearly, that the grandmother's filing suits against me, which is a violation, but she don't get no penalty for violating.
All right, according guardian, I keep on reading. It says guardian shall seek approval from the probate division of a court of common pleas before filing a suit for the ward. All right, and I have the Ohio practice law right here, 66.08.
I got the Ohio Revised Code there, but guess what? They don't go by the law. They do what they want to do.
Probate court rules are clear before the guardian, Angela Saturday, starts having a conflict of interest in money of the ward. They must have an application of proceedings, review, and determination. And it's an application to commence legal proceedings for the ward. I do have a copy of that. One moment. Okay, right here.
And they never did that.
Application right here.
They just determined it. They never did a proceeding or a review. They just determined it.
Before she
Very
filing suits on behalf of her. So she has not been following that, but that's I say the best for last. But she has violated that, and I need I don't know. Let's continue though. Okay. Okay. The ultimate fact is Angela Saturday shown contempt for the probate court ordered rules, and I am requesting the court impose sanctions and penalties for such blatant violations of the oath of guardianship. Probate court must follow show cause procedure outlined in our revised code 2101.23 and not show bias and partiality in Miss Saturday's neglect to perform the duties of guardianship.
well. And when I said that, guess what? They're going to be showing bias and partiality. That's exactly what they're showing. All right. But this is nothing. Like I said, I'm going to show all types of abuse, all types of stuff, and they're going to ignore it.
Right.
And let me tell you, and then the judge is not even going to want to hear it because he know he going to look bad if he go against me. So they all against me. They all against fathers in general. But it is.
I'm going to keep on going. So that's one thing. Her going to do that. In addition to filing inventory, and this I'm reading it straight from the Ohio Revised Code. And I think this is the local rules, I believe. Pursuant to Revised Code 2111014A1, and within 3 months of the guardian appointment, the guardian shall file with the probate division of the Court of Common Pleas a list of all the ward's important legal papers, including but not limited to the estate planning documents, advance directives, power of attorney, and location of such legal papers. If known at the time of filing, Angela Saturday has filed none of Camille's important legal papers. And I believe that her child and her child's welfare and things of that nature, that's important legal papers that she has not done. She has not done any of those things. I don't know. Maybe she does need to go to one of those classes. I know she's a parent, but maybe she needs to go to those classes because she's violating the rules and it needs to be some sanctions. Let's continue though.
Well, listen, and they don't care. She never filed it. She still hasn't filed them. They don't care.
This is another thing. That's strike two. But this is another thing. I have the guardian shall receive no incentives or compensation from a direct service provider. Upon becoming aware of any actual or apparent conflict of interest, a guardian shall immediately take action to resolve the conflict and shall immediately notify the probate court in writing describing the conflict. Child support services and the Internal Revenue Services are the two service providers. Angela Saturday is very interested in. IRS very interested in. So she's very interested in these two service providers. I cannot prove that she takes some of the money, but definitely IRS, that service provider, she is definitely interested in, most definitely.
Yes. And I put the revised code, but the grandmother files my baby on her taxes every year. That's why she's in there. She's taking all the money, taking the child support money. But it gets better. Like I said, my baby mama, she is a ward of the state, a ward of her mother. Why is she a ward of her mother? Is she retarded? Is she autistic? Why is the mother of my child, her mother is over her? Did we talk about baby mama terrorist? It's a grandmama terrorist. You'll find out. My baby mama is not autistic. She's been abused by her mother in this paperwork. And it's by a doctor, by a licensed doctor, physician says this in the paperwork, and they ignore it. But let's continue.
The probate court can determine that the guardian has fulfilled her conflict of interest in the Internal Revenue Service of the ward. Well, because obviously she has very interest in that. She wants to have the tax credit every year. And in fact, let's keep going. In my 3-year-old tax credit, her mind is fixed on the money as so to include tax provisions in her shared parenting plan with her ward. Exhibit B.
All right, so right here, in a shared parenting plan in juvenile court, the grandmother said that she would be receiving the taxes from the baby every year, and she put it on paper. She wanted to make sure that she's able to claim my child every year in her taxes, which is against, you know what I mean, against the rules of the probate court. You are a guardian. Why? But it's about the money. Let me show you Exhibit B real quick to show you exactly what I mean. Okay, let's see. Give me a second. Exhibit A, Exhibit B. What does it say right there? Taxes. The co-custodian shall agree on who will claim Ezra as tax dependent so long as Ezra is legally qualified to be taken, beginning tax year 2019. Right here. They had to cross it out because I challenged it in court. And even though there are some thieves and lowlifes over there in that juvenile court, they still know they can't mess with the IRS and Internal Revenue Services. So they had to cross that out, even though she's still stealing the money every year. The grandmother steal money from her own daughter, the one she got a guardianship over. Her grandfather died and she took all that money. But let's continue though.
Exhibit B shows that she was so interested in having these services, these services by tax exempt, that she put it in her shared parenting plan. She would be having it every year, or
Shalom.
That the custodian's going to agree, which means that she's going to have the tax every year. That's what that means. She's going to have the money every year. But right here, I challenged it in court and they struck it. Obviously, they struck it from the record, but I challenged it in court because it's unlawful, and she does have interest, and that's the reason that she's heavily pursuing these two cases to make sure she has that money interest. Just to proceed, I'm gonna keep going. That's another thing. Okay. Let me. Her mind is fixed on the money as to include tax provisions in a shared parenting plan with her ward, which Angela Saturday considers reimbursement for her guardianship duties. Yeah, and that can be considered an option, but I definitely believe that she feels she's entitled to take that money. Probate court superior guardian of the ward. Okay, so my question is: are you able to rule if Miss Saturday is able to claim my child on her taxes every year? That's my question.
It's a child support issue. I mean, I was going to address each of your things after I finish.
Okay. That's a child support issue.
Yes,
okay, because okay. Well, I'll have to address that because I remember reading in Ohio Revised Code 111.50 that you can make those type of rules because the probate court is superior guardian of the ward. But that's beside the point. Okay, cool. All right. Is she supposed? Okay, and then also, is she supposed to be interested in the taxes of my child every year? Is she supposed to? Okay, let's continue. Angela Saturday has admittedly committed financial harm, which impaired Camille's financial asset she was supposed to receive from her beloved grandfather's insurance plan, exerting control over Camille's insurance check by deception, intimidation, fraud, and undue influence. All right, February 12th probate hearing, Ms. Saturday was asked by Magistrate about the source of the funds she was controlling in her ward's name. She did not answer any question that was asked. She lied to the magistrate and said she was a payee on the check. Then, when you asked her directly, did the check have her name on it? She refused to answer and stated she will mail the check to the court. although I submitted documentation for this infraction, I didn't finish it. I guess I didn't finish it. The documentation was not put into the files. I guess I didn't have. But yeah, that definitely is financial harm. But I guess I guess when we talked to a counselor in the other court, she knew that was financial harm towards him. But right now, as I will show you later, Camille Wright is intimidated and very timid around her. And in fact, I can show that in the documentation I have later. So she'll deny that completely, but that was definitely financial harm, and she did not like that, and she only spent $1,000 on it, kept $4,000. Let's continue. Okay, Rule 66.08. A guardian shall immediately report to the probate division of a court of common pleas, and when applicable, to Adult Protective Services, any appropriate allegations of abuse, neglect, or exploitation of the ward. Camille is clearly being exploited and is constantly threatened and maltreated by Miss Saturday. But let me prove that, because I mean, obviously, this sounds crazy. Let me just prove it. We can continue. In the Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health Services adult diagnostic assessment, and let me show you where I was given permission. Let me show you where I was given permission for those documents, just to make sure. I only have one copy of this, but this is where I was given signed permission to have this documentation. If you would like that. Yes, the documents is in the back. I have them in the back. This is
title of that?
I'm sorry?
What's the title of that document?
Where it is considered 1A through. Okay.
Magistrate Stargel.
Wait.
Go ahead.
He's not supposed to use those because I had signed for him to help me with Social Security a couple of years ago, and he still has
Several years ago.
He took her medical.
She's very afraid of this information. I still have it. I was
He
signed
has
for it.
her medical record.
that's the HIPAA
Okay,
law.
well, let me.
No, I was
finish his
Yes.
argument, then we'll
Yes.
listen to you.
Okay. All right. In the Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health Services, adult diagnosis assessments.
And you see how they talking about that he ain't supposed to have this. Why? Because it says that she's an abuser. And the only reason the mother of my child has psychological issues is because she's a victim of childhood emotional abuse by her guardian. And guess what? I present this to the court in Hamilton County and they ignore it. Let's continue though.
Spelled out clearly Angela Savage's history of abuse and maltreatment with things like and I'm going to go to the particular records. Got
2015. Do you have anything?
yes, I have
Now you see how she says this is 2015. Do you have anything? Because she don't want to hear this thing right here. But she's a victim of childhood emotional abuse by a parent. Now, what does that mean? That means since a child, she's 28 now. Since a child, she's been abused, and now even what did it say? Was that 5 years ago? She was still being treated. 5 years ago, she was 23. So basically she's trying to dismiss this information because it's 5 years old. And at the time it was 4 years old, because this is last year. And she's trying to dismiss it by saying that it's old information. Like I got to get something from 2000. Like I can get my hand. That doesn't matter. She's still a victim of childhood emotional abuse today. Nothing has changed about her psychological growth. The only thing wrong with her is her mother been abusing her whole life. But they don't want. That's what I'm saying. So Miss Stargel, let me see where's she at. Very biased. Oh, let's continue. Let's keep going.
definitely more current, but what I want to show is some
All I want to
consistency.
see is 2020.
All you want to see is 2020 now?
We've already-
She said all she wants to see is 2020. When I show psychological reports from 2016 and 15 of how she's a victim of childhood emotional abuse, and she's an adult sitting in there at 27, she want to say only thing I want to see is 2020. But I asked Ms. Stargel, where is it that she got over this abuse? Where's the documentation that she's now not a victim of childhood emotional abuse anymore? Where is that?
Already appointed her guardian, and there have been no allegations of abuse.
That's true.
So we're starting with the present. So give me 2020. If you don't have 2020, I'm not using this.
She said, if you don't have 2020, I'm not using this because I already made a mistake and gave her guardian without looking at her paperwork, without looking at nothing. I already gave it to her. So I'm not going to admit my mistakes. So if it don't say 2020 on it, then it's null and void. Now we have somebody who's a serial abuser. She didn't even look at the documentation yet. And she said she's going to dismiss it already. You see what kind of biased, low life shit this is going on in the probate court? Let's continue.
Ma'am, remember this is a vast history of abuse, ma'am. This is a bad hit. It has not stopped. And and in fact,
That's why I'm saying.
and in fact, I have a motion to strike expert evaluation because my motion is because of this place. All right, man. And for you not to take my evidence.
No objections to anything. I'm asking for current information.
Ma'am, when it comes down to this particular information right here, this right here is talking about the history, and I want to address the history of abuse.
The present.
Not the present abuse, because I'm away. I'm away from them. I'm talking about the history of abuse.
What I'm saying to you, Mr. Israel, is I'm striking this evidence. If you can't tie it to 2020, you can move on. So what's your next point in your
So
You saying I'm striking this evidence of a doctor saying that she's been abused her whole life and still is being abused. But she's going to strike it. Miss Angela said, I'm going to strike it. I'm not even going to look at it. And guess what? What's the guy's name? Ralph Winkler. When I set aside her thing, Ralph Winkler do a little jujitsu move. Don't even want to talk to me. Let's continue.
striking the evidence
Yes.
on grounds.
It's not relevant to.
It's not relevant?
Circumstances.
Wait, hold on. This is a psychological evaluation of Camille Jones.
I already have information about Camille Jones. I've already adjudicated her a mentally impaired person as defined by the Ohio statutes. If you wanted to provide background information using 1A to substantiate things that are happening to Camille presently by the guardian, I would be glad to listen.
Well,
But if you want me to judge the guardian's behavior now of something she did in 2015, and she's not repeating that behavior presently, it would be improper for me to do so.
Ma'am, real quick, because you can say she didn't do it presently, but presently, right now, Miss Camille is diagnosed with the same thing she was diagnosed with before in the thing, and the diagnoses. What is the diagnosis? Victim of child emotional abuse. All right. She's been a victim of child emotional abuse. She's diagnosed with encounter for mental health services for a victim of child psychological abuse by her parent. And at this moment, she still has the symptoms of being emotionally abused by a parent. She still holds those symptoms even to this day. And now she has control of my child. Mr.
Israel,
yes.
Do you have medical documentation of that?
Yes.
And may I see that?
So you're saying that what you struck is not credible?
Not for present behavior, but if you have medical documentation.
I have children's service documentation of abuse.
And I'm gonna be back.
Yes, from children's services. No, but that's also something